Good evening one and all, welcome to the Friday Waffle. I hope you've all had a nice week, if that's the right word to use. Does anybody have a good week at work? I don't know. I'm quite enjoying my job, that's a bit of a bonus. So yeah, and I must admit the day's absolutely flying. I mean, I'm so busy that it gets to 5 o'clock before I even know it, so it makes for a very, very quick day and indeed a quick week. Although, you know, is it a good thing when you get to sort of my ripe old age that time flies in? I'm not too sure actually. Yeah, what have I been doing? What have I been doing? I've not been playing any games. Now I know that's becoming quite a common cry by my good self. I've not had any real time to play games. What have I been doing? I was at a meeting thing about running on Tuesday. I'm delighted to say that my running mojo seems to have been rekindled. I mean, I mentioned last week that I've got 2 big races coming up, so I've got 4 weeks to get myself fit to run a 53-mile race in 4 weeks' time. So yeah, anyway, this you're here to listen about video games, not about me talking pish about running. But yeah, I've not been playing many games at all, guys. Not been playing any games, in fact, other than the 10-minute mashup, which was The Lost World. Yeah, some abysmal light shooting game by Sega back in 1997, I think it was. But yeah, what's been happening? As you probably know, I put out the 3rd Blimey It's Only with Jamie Hampshire, yep, that's it. And it proved to be really popular. I mean, as I've mentioned before, guys, you know, your famous people, your John Hares, your Rob Hubbards, Archie McLeans, these guys get interviewed all the time. Now, it's not to say that I won't interview these guys if I get the opportunity, but you know, I want to concentrate. There's a lot of people involved in this industry that may not get the recognition they deserve, and that's why I've picked guys like Jamie and Paul. They may not be well known to most of you, but certainly the stuff that they do put out is, you know, impressive, and it's based around retro games. So yeah, what have I got? I'm hopefully going to be talking to either Mr. Tony Temple, who is a world high score champion of Missile Command, or Mr. John Studley. Now, John he's one of probably the top 5 Pac-Man players in the world. John is, I think, 90 points away from getting the perfect Pac-Man game. John hails from, I was going to say Liverpool. John hails from Liverpool, like there's any like there's any dispute when you hear him talk. Yep, he comes from Liverpool. I was talking to John last night, and John has kindly agreed to be interviewed as well. So I've got quite a few guys lined up. Mr. Dominic Diamond, I'm just thinking, is that going to be? I think I'm supposed to be talking to him this week coming, so I'll need to drop him an email and find out when he can do it. Yeah, he was away this week, so I'm going to tie that up. So with any luck, I may get my interview with Dominic next week. See how that goes. Now I'm going to I'm doing this as a kind of video response. Lawn Boys Post 1975. Dave put out a very sincere, genuine, heartfelt, if you want, video earlier on today. I think it was today he put it out. It may have been yesterday, I'm not too sure. But basically he was talking about his life too short, and what he didn't give too much away, but what I gather is, well, he told us this much, that somebody he knows, didn't say whether it's family, friends, whatever, somebody he knows has recently passed away, and he seemed genuinely upset by this, for, you know, obvious reasons. But what the point Dave was making was, is life too short? I mean, when you're a kid, when you're 17, 18 years old or younger, it's, you know, you want to you think you're right, and there's a lot, you think that there's kudos to sort of like tell people who you don't like what you think of them, you know, they're talking rubbish, whatever it is. I mean, we've all been there, and the thing is, as you grow older, you start to, one thing, I mean, one thing I don't like about getting older is I'm going to be dying sooner rather than later, you know, which hopefully not for a few years yet. But yeah, I'm no longer 19 years old, 20 years old. You know, the time I've got on earth is going to be less than I had 20 years ago, so that's the one downside to it. Everything else in my mind is a positive about being older. You're content with who you are. You know, you don't try and, well, at least I certainly don't try and pretend I'm anything different other than the person you can see right now. If people don't like me, that's their loss as far as I'm concerned. I really couldn't give two shits whether people like me or not. Pardon me, I've just had an Indian takeaway. Yeah, you become more comfortable in your own body, if that's a well-worn cliche. You really do. You don't care about what other people think of you. You do accept you for what you are. But yeah, the point Dave was asking, is life too short? Now, you know what, when I was 18 years old, I got into a group of guys, palled about with a group of guys I met through a sort of part-time job. Now there was about 6 of us, and for probably the first year, I mean, I was actually only kind of pally with them for probably a couple of years. It seemed like a long time back then, but when you're 18, 2 years does seem like a long time. When you get to my age, 2 years is nothing, it's a blink of an eye. But I got in with a group of guys, and it started off, it was great. We'd basically discovered alcohol. We were like 17, 18, we were drinking, we were going to the pub getting drunk, having a laugh, and most of the socialising was all based around alcohol. But then it kind of took a sinister turn after about a year and a bit. I'm not, you can probably not tell from the video, but I'm not a tall person. I'm 5'7". I'm not tall by any means. In fact, I'm quite small. I don't have an issue with the way I am. Again, I'm happy with what I am. Don't have an issue. But I was the smallest out of that group, and probably I would say I was the, yeah, I'm going to say I was probably the nicest, the friendliest. I was quite baby looking, quite boyish looking, and I think because of my nature, one or two of them, I was, what age would I be? 18, 19. Now, I'm not a fat person. I've never been fat in my life, ever. But at that age, I was drinking, I was having my dinner, I was going to the pub with these guys, then I was coming home, you were going to Chippy, you were having whatever it was, fish and chips, as you do at that age. And I started to put, I never got fat, but my face started to fill out. I was getting a bit of a chubby looking face, and one or two of the guys started to make a fool of me. And when you're 17, 18, you're really interested in girls, you really are, you know, you're conscious about how you look. And these two guys took it on themselves, or one in particular took it upon himself to say how I was chubby looking. And when you're, you know, that really knocks your confidence. So he was constantly slagging me off for how I looked. And then one of the other guys, in his wisdom, decided to, anytime we were talking about something, if I made a statement about something, he used to kind of clip me around the top of the head and say, "Shut up, you know, you're talking rubbish." And I kind of put up with it. I put up with this for a wee while, and it used to really bug me, but I'm not a confrontational person at all, until eventually one day he did it once too much, and I picked up a beer glass and I put it up to his head and says, "If you do that to me once more, I'm going to put this in your face." And after that, he left me alone. So yeah, it was a form of bullying that he was doing. But anyway, I'm kind of going into a bit too much detail. Anyway, for years after, shortly after we split up as a group, I lost touch with the guys, and you know, that was like 1988, I think it was, 87, 88. I lost touch with these guys. Now, for quite a few years, I wouldn't even say a few years, for probably 10, 20 years, I hated these two, the two guys in particular. I hated them. I hated for what they'd done to me. The guy that used to slag me for having a chubby face gave me a complex about ever getting fat or ever getting a chubby face ever again. He really did. He thinged my confidence, and to this day, I've always had a hang up about it. You know, I run, I keep myself fit. I know I'm not fat in the slightest. I've not got a fat face in any shape or form. But these guys knocked my confidence, and I would never forgive them. I hated them. I really did hate them. I hated their guts. However, with the advent of social media over the last, I would say, 5 years, these guys appeared on my Facebook, and at first I was a bit taken aback. But you know what? I've I've since met up with these guys. When I do my runs, my big races, I always do it for charity. There's a sort of local children's charity that I like to raise money for. And one of the guys, the guy that used to slag me for being fat, the funny thing is he's quite fat now. So there's a bit of I have to laugh up my sleeve. You know, I'm not overweight. I'm fairly fit through my running. And I look at him and I realise the tables have turned. But you know what? He sponsored me a shitload of money last year, and I've spoke to him in person, and you know, and I realise now that these guys are only 18 years old, and you know, we've all done silly things when we're that age, and so yeah, I've completely. It was one of these things that happened when we're young, but we've all moved on, we've grown up, and I certainly don't hold any grudges. There's been people in the past that I've maybe had an issue with, but as I've told you before, I've lost my mum and dad. I've only really got my two sisters, plus my wife and my daughter, really my close family. I don't have a lot of people left. I've got a lot of friends as well. But you know what, as you start to lose people that you care about, you do realise that time is no longer limitless. And you know, to fall out with somebody indefinitely just because they didn't send you a birthday card, or they made a comment about you in somebody's Facebook or something, you know, in the scale of life, I mean, you just have to look at what's been going on in the Middle East. You know, I was reading a thing about the ISIS, what they're apparently doing. They're apparently executing any boys over the age of 14. They said that there was like cries of 8-year-old girls getting raped. They're crying out, you know. There's a hell of a lot of bad stuff going on in the world. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of good stuff going on in the world, but there's a hell of a lot of bad stuff going on in the world. And you realise, you know what, my life isn't actually that bad, you know. And to fall out with somebody over something like stupid, whatever, I just, you know, absolutely, life is too short. Don't get me wrong, if somebody was to bad me in some really terrible, if somebody was to, God forbid, like interfere with my daughter, or you know, attack my wife or any of my friends or family, then absolutely I would probably go after them with a knife. I mean, I would, you know, if somebody really hurt somebody close to me, I would want to take revenge on them. But if it's something simple, something daft, life is too short. I'm one of these people, I don't like falling out with people. It's just something that I'm not comfortable with at all. But absolutely, life is too short, because believe you me, I mean, you know, I'm all too aware of how short this life that we've got is, and the last thing you want, and I'm getting the feeling that's where Dave's coming from, he's possibly had some sort of fallout argument with somebody, and now that person has passed on, and you'll probably look at them and think, why, you know, was it really such a big issue? So yeah, if somebody bads you in a bad way, then by all means just knock them out of your life. Don't have any part of them, don't have them in your life in any shape or form. But if you've got a brother, a sister, a mum, a dad that you maybe don't speak to because of something that happened a few years ago, please take my word for it, guys. Go and make out with them now. Go and phone them right now. I sound like Lenny Henry in Comic Relief. No, but seriously, don't let it linger on, because you'll get to a day and you'll regret, why didn't I why didn't I? You know, one thing that I read, and it's so true, you will never ever regret something that you did do in life, but you'll always regret something that you didn't do. So if you lose somebody close to you and you've maybe not spoken to them for 5 years because they forgot to send you a birthday card or something, you'll regret that. You really will, guys. So yeah, life absolutely is too short to fall out with people. You know, go and make it up. By all means, tell them what you think of them, put it behind you and move on. So yep, that is it. I'm going to post Dave's video down below, so go and have a watch. It's a very, very genuine, sincere video. And I thank Dave very much for actually sharing that with us. So I'm going to pause this, guys. Right, excuse me while I have a little drink of my tea. Right, this is a very short video because Mr. Williamson I should say, didn't give me any questions. If you did, Jamie, where did you put them? I've looked everywhere, couldn't find any questions. That's 2 out of 3 weeks. Not good, son, not good. Anyway, right, I've only got one topic to talk about tonight. I've got a few questions from other people. Yeah, anybody that follows Llamasoft, Jeff Minter, will probably be aware of something that happened this week. Jeff Minter, as anybody knows, is an 1980s coder. He's a bit of a hippie. He owns sheep and llamas and camels and what have you. All his games are based around these various animals, sheep, etc. He's been making games for the Commodore 64 since the early 80s. Hover Bover, Mama Llama, Revenge of Mutant Camels, Attack of the Mutant Camels, Battle Axe, Incipital, you name it, he's made the games. Now Jeff, he Grid Runner as well. Jeff he got involved with Atari back in, I don't know exactly when it was, back in the mid-90s, I think it was, early 90s, mid-90s. And he actually went out, I think, to Sunningvale, California to work with Atari. And one game that he programmed, if I can find it, excuse me a wee second, I shall show you, because I have it here. I've actually done a mashup of it. Come here, you sod. Whoops, oh, it's all going to fall. It's all going to fall. Yep, Jeff made this game, Tempest 2000 for Atari. Now it's well known as being, it was for the Atari Jaguar, I meant to say. It's well known as being the best game on Atari Jaguar. Now that probably wouldn't be very difficult considering 99% of the games on the Jaguar were absolutely a pile of wank. There weren't many games released for it, but Tempest 2000 is an excellent game. Now Tempest is owned by Atari, and this was Tempest 2000, so obviously they've updated it. Jeff updated the game. Now over the years Jeff has made various versions of Tempest. I'm saying that, has he? I'm not too sure. I think he has been a few versions since then. But more recently, about last year, he brought out a game which is one of my favourite video games of all time, and it's TXK, which is, I need to watch what I'm saying here, it is basically Tempest 2000 with bells and whistles on, and it's been made up like HD graphics, 60 frames a second, absolutely gorgeous. And many of the Yak Yak forum community wrote music for this game. Now Jamie, who I was interviewing last week, he won an award for his track, so it had an original soundtrack. Now TXK came out in the Vita last year. I think it was only $4.99. It's absolutely nothing. It's a stunning game, absolutely stunning game. Now Jeff has been in the process of converting the game to run on the PS4, PC and Oculus Rift. Now one of my friends, Mr. Tony Temple, Missile Command, high score dude, he had a shot of TXK on the PS4, or was it on the PC, running under Oculus Rift. So you imagine virtual reality Tempest. So, and he says it's mind blowing, absolutely mind blowing. So anyway, Jeff has converted this game to run in these systems now. It's not yet been released. Now Jeff announced this week that he's been issued with a cease and desist order from Atari, telling him that he must remove TXK from sale on the Vita, and he mustn't publish it on any of these other platforms. Now, there's a split camp as far as is that right or wrong. Now, this is my opinion. That's the only opinion I can possibly give, as my own one. Now, I don't actually like Tempest. I'm not fond of Tempest, but TXK is bloody awesome. It really is. It's just like a turbocharged, super enhanced version of Tempest. Now, you can call it whatever you want. It is Tempest. You know, there's no two ways about it. But, you know, Jeff has taken the basic game and just enhanced it tenfold. Now, Atari, they are claiming that, well, it's not a claim, they're stating this. They own the copyright to Tempest, and they are now basically saying, wait a minute, we own the copyright to this game, you've got no right to publish this game. Now Jeff and Llamasoft went back to Atari and says, look, could we work with you? Can we come up with an official version of Tempest? We would love to get involved with Atari and publish updated versions of classic Atari games. Now apparently Atari have just completely ignored anything that Jeff has told them, and they're not, I mean, I think that's as far as it's gone. They've told them you can't publish TXK on anything anymore, so the one on the Vita is going to disappear shortly. So I suggest, if you don't have it, go and buy a Vita. If you don't have a Vita, you know, buy a Vita, download the game. It's an absolutely stunning game. So yeah, there's been a lot of debate on the internet. I mean, just Google, type in Jeff Minter Atari and you'll see a billion articles. Jeff, as you would imagine, is pretty pissed off because basically the last 12 months of his life has been devoted to bringing out TXK on these other formats. Now, I can completely get where Atari are coming from. The game is, to my mind, Tempest, and that belongs to them. So, and you know, I have to say, I'm a massive fan of Jeff Minter, but a lot of his games, I mean, if you look at any of the games that he wrote for iOS, on the iPad, iPhone, whatever, he's unashamedly ripped sprites, graphics, and sound effects out of other games, including Defender, Robotron. Now, that's a bit cheeky if you ask me. Jeff's one of the first guys to kind of throw his toys out the pram if somebody happens to take. I mean, Jeff always famously, he was unhappy because some publisher used, I think Jeff came up with a special font for, was it Attack the Mutant Camels, and some other company used the font and he wasn't happy. Now Jeff has done exactly what he doesn't like other people doing. He took the graphics and sound of other people's games and incorporated it into his own games. So yeah, that was a bit cheeky. And you know, he's also made a bit of money with TXK, and you know, at the end of the day, TXK to my mind is Tempest, which is owned by copyright. So Jeff should have probably approached Atari and asked if he could use the license, but he didn't do that. Having said that, see, Atari, anybody over the age of 30 will probably know or remember what the real Atari were about. Atari were the founders of the video game industry. Nolan Bushall, Pong, Asteroids, Missile Command, Tempest. You know, I don't need to say any more. Atari were a massive, massive company. I mean, they were the iconic company of video games. However, since Atari went bust, after, when would it be, I don't know when it was, probably mid-90s, after the Atari ST flopped, the Atari name disappeared. It was then bought over by some company. So you know, you'll occasionally see some kid walking about with an Atari logo t-shirt. They've probably got absolutely no idea what Atari stands for. They couldn't name you a game that Atari wrote. but the logo itself is quite an iconic part of video game culture. But the Atari that exists that exists now is not a video games company. It's basically a name, and it just seems, from what I'm gathering, this whole thing that's been going on with Llamasoft, there have been no Atari programmers or anything involved in it. It's lawyers. Atari don't have any money. I don't even know who owned the Atari badge, but it's name only, and you could say, well, are they being arrogant arseholes by doing what they're doing? I mean, they're taking away this guy's livelihood. They're saying that, you know, what Jeff needs to do. I'm saying they're a big company. They're obviously owned by a biggish company who I don't know who they are. But, you know, if Jeff had money, then he could probably fight the case. It probably costs a fair bit of cash. Now, I don't think Jeff's got a leg to stand on personally. It's, for any outsider looking in, it's quite clear that TXK is Tempest, albeit 1,000 times better in my opinion. So it gets to this grey area. When is copyright? When is a copyright claim overstepped? I mean, Exploding Fist, could they have been sued by Data East because Data East brought out Kung Fu Master? Not Kung Fu, what's it called? Karate Champ. Exploding Fist is basically Karate Champ. Archer McLean's International Karate is virtually a carbon copy of Exploding Fist, albeit with slightly smoother graphics. You know, every video game that you ever play is basically you control a character, a sprite, you know, a ship, whatever. You could say they're all based on Space Invaders. You know, it's, where do you draw the line? When is copyright being infringed? I do have to say, I do think that TXK is trying to stretch it a bit to say that it's not Tempest. I mean, I think that Jeff even promoted TXK as being the spiritual successor to Tempest, so in some ways he's shot himself in the foot. I think what Jeff has to do, I mean, this whole thing started, he actually published a letter online, and he received a letter back in June last year basically threatening him, telling him he needs to stop working on this TXK and he needs to remove it from sale. Now that's almost a year ago, so I think personally if I had got a letter like that, I've probably taken stock of where I was and thought, right, I'm not going to waste any more time, energy, money making a game that's potentially crossing the copyright boundaries. But Jeff obviously hasn't done that. He's continued thinking that it's going to go away, whatever, and it's now reached a point where it's gone too far and he can't go any further with this. So there was a lot of very negative press by Jeff, quite rightly. I mean, I don't blame the guy. If I was Jeff, I'd have been pissed off as well. I mean, he published a letter that Atari sent him, and some of the grammar, I mean, instead of calling it Tempest, was it Tempest with an N? Like, you know, you've got to question who even read the letter that was sent out. But, you know, he's basically put his, one thing that I didn't like, he's been naming and shaming other Tempest clones, saying, well, how come, you know, this guy's got away with it and how come that guy's got away with this, and he's kind of naming and shaming all these Tempest clones, which to my mind isn't really a nice thing to do. I mean, these guys are probably, you know, single man companies. I'm not saying that Llamasoft's a big company, but yeah, he's being caught out, and is it really fair for him to kind of then show up other people? I don't know. He's obviously angry and quite bitter about things, which I do understand, but I think, I mean, Jeff is a fantastic programmer, and I think what Jeff has to go and do, he needs to accept it for what it is, think to himself, well, I've had 10 good years or whatever it is, I've had decent years out of, I've made a bit of money out of using somebody else's idea, and what he needs to do is he needs to go away, regroup, and come up with some brand new original material, because he's an amazing coder. His ideas, etc., are stunning, and yeah, he's ripped off quite a few games with sprites and graphics, but he certainly knows how to make a mean game. So he needs to use his talents in a positive way rather than a negative way, which he's been kind of doing over the last week. So yeah, that's kind of my take on it. I think he's done alright out of it. I understand I'm being pissed off, but whether Atari is no longer a gaming company and just a bunch of lawyers is irrelevant. At the end of the day, if they own the copyright to a game, then they're well within their rights to stop other companies making money out of something that they actually own. So yeah, okay, I'm going to pause this again. Okay guys, right, that's my waffle for this week. I've just got a couple of quick questions which I'm going to do my best to answer. Down the rabbit hole. Hi Alan, I have another question for you for your Friday Waffle. Wasn't sure where to post it. Well, you've got it here, which is perfect. Have you ever really enjoyed a title, but then found something within the game that ruined your enjoyment so much that it kept you from playing it anymore? I have two personal examples. I love the Assassin's Creed series, but strongly disliked the lead character of both Assassin's Creed 2 and also Assassin's Creed Unity, that I stopped playing them, or I refused to play them. Secondly, my wife played Red Dead Redemption. What a cool wife you've got, by the way. And without giving away any spoilers, you switched to another character towards the end of the game, and she found his voice was so annoying she wanted to finish the game as soon as possible. Have any games done that for you? Anything that's annoying? I can't say I've ever got into a game so much and then discovered it's annoying. I mean, one game that I can't abide, and it's possibly because of this reason, is it The Legend of Zelda on the N64. I mean, I don't have my N64 now, I sold it recently, but it's a stupid voice of, is it Link or whatever it is you control? It's like a wee high pitched whine, and I can't be arsed with that. I just can't be arsed. So that, I found that really annoying, so that would stop me playing a game. I can't say there's any game that it's annoyed me. I mean, if I find a game annoying, I probably wouldn't play it. I wouldn't get into it that much anyway to begin with. But there's been quite a few games that I've been playing it for a long time, and then I get to a bit and I just give up because it's too bloody difficult. The most recent game that happened for me was BioShock, is it Infinity? I think it is. Now I believe you're on the very last level. I'm not going to spoil it at all, but you're on the last level and you're on this, is it a balloon? I think it's a big barrage balloon thing, and you're basically getting attacked left, right and centre with these other balloons with loads of enemies and things, and it's just bloody impossible. I mean, I've got it set to easy as well. It's one of these games, I can play it, that level, I can play it for maybe, I would say maybe 10 minutes, then I die. And I play it again, and I play it for 10 minutes, then I die. And I play it for 10 minutes, then I die. And it's got to the point now, I can't be arsed with it. I've taken it off, I don't play it anymore because I'm just so frustrated with it. So yeah, I know that's not really what you're asking. I can't say there's been any game that I've stopped playing because it's annoying, but yeah, I mean, you know, the Link game, the Zelda game, I found the wee character damned annoying, so I stopped playing that very, very quickly. But no, there's been a few games that I've given up. In fact, oddly enough, the first BioShock, I got to the very, very, very last character and I gave up because you go up in this lift and you get to this thing and you pick up energy before you get to the lift, and then once you get up the lift you meet this whatever you call it, this end of level, end of game baddie type thing, and you've basically got the energy that you have, and it saves at that point. Now, I foolishly never picked up energy before. Well, I'm saying foolishly, I mean I didn't know it was going to save at that point, but it basically meant, and I think I'd already, in fact where I was foolish, I think I erased my old save points. So the only save points I had was when I get to the top of this lift, and I had one bohairy energy, and I just kept getting killed instantly with this thing, and I can't go back. So I was then stuck with a tiny little fragment of energy trying to kill this end of level, end of game baddie. So again, that was another game I just switched off in disgust. But yep, I think that's, I can't think of anything else. I can't think of any games that were annoying, because if I find a game annoying, then I genuinely won't play it for much longer. I do find, and it's probably because I'm crap, but I do find that even games like, dare I say, games like Grand Theft Auto and racing games, I'll maybe get to a certain point and I just can't get past a certain bit, and I end up giving up. I mean, I probably give up. I'm not a person that gives up easily in life, you know. I couldn't do the running that I do if I gave up easily, but when it comes to video games, yeah, I maybe do throw the towel in a bit early, but I just get to a point when I find a game is no longer enjoyable, then I stop playing it. I'm certainly not going to waste my time. I mean, I know I've got a mate who will play a game and he'll admit he's not even enjoying it, but he wants to get to the end of it. Now, I'm not like that, you know. Going back to what we were talking about earlier on, life's far too short to waste time. It's bad enough playing games all your life, you know. There's got to be better things than that. But to play a game that you're not even enjoying, I mean, would you sit and watch a film that you're not enjoying? I certainly wouldn't. If I'm watching a film, I mean, I've seen you watching a film, getting to halfway and thinking, I'm not enjoying this, and I just switch it off. I'm not interested in watching the end. If I'm not enjoying it, I'm not going to waste any more time with it. So yeah, thanks for the question. That was a nice one. Simon Miller, he's asking, in fact it's not really questions that I can actually give you an answer just now. Can we have a look at your new PC? Yeah, by all means, Simon. I've got to say, it's not one of these fancy dancy PCs that some guys have with like water coolant and fancy lights and that kind of stuff. I'm not quite sure what you want to see in the PC. I'll certainly let you see what it looks like. It's nothing out of the ordinary at all. I'll let you see what the sort of memory in that it's got. It's quite a boring video, I suppose, but I'll certainly do that, let you see that. Can we have a look at your gaming collection? Now, I have put out a video, I was going to say previously, it was probably quite a long time ago. As you can probably tell, I've got this little gaming room. Now, it might be small, but like me, small but packed with goodness. Yeah, this this video games room has got a shitload of stuff in it, you know. I'm sitting here looking up just now and there's so much stuff. I love coming in here and just looking at stuff. But yeah, absolutely, I'll do another video of what I've got in here, because they always make quite interesting little videos anyway. So yep, I shall do that. Now Simon's asking, from his missus, what is your favourite cheese? Am I right in thinking that, Simon, that this video channel is a bit of a family affair? Is it, instead of watching Coronation Street on a Friday night, you sit down and watch the Mamemeister 10-minute mashup? Cool if you do. Thank you very much to you and the missus. So I hope you're watching this. A wee shout out and a thumbs up as well. Thanks for the support, guys. What is my favourite cheese? Now, I was across in Arran last year. Yeah, it was last year for the first time ever. And they make famous cheese. And there is a, you know what, I can't even remember the name of it. What's it called? It's, oh, what is it? It's like it's a cheese with berries through it. Oh, I can't believe that. I can't remember what it is. But Arran makes some awesome cheese. It's, you know, there's a cheese factory and it comes in the proper what do you call it? Proper wax and that kind of shit around it. But it's absolutely awesome. I do like cheese, I have to say. But I'm not one for cheese and biscuits, but I've got to say that the cheeses that you get from Arran are just the best yet. They're amazing. I mean, you could actually sit, I've seen me just breaking bits off and sitting in front of the TV munching a piece of cheese. It's that good. I can't even remember the bloody name of it. It's got like red berry or something in it. Can't remember, but anyway, yep, that's that one. Simon's also asking, what is your most valuable retro gaming item? Now, I've got a friend, Mayhem, some of you may have heard of him. Matt has got probably the most awesome games collection of anybody, and I mean that sincerely. I mean, Matt's actually just in the process of downsizing, and he's putting up his Nuon collection for sale, and he's got a controller. It's a sort of what do you call it? Not a pilot. It's a prototype. That's the word. It's a prototype joystick, and it's 200 quid. He's asking for it. He's got games for the Nuon, 150, 200 pounds. I mean, you know, some people have stuff that's worth a shitload of money. For all the stuff that I've got, there is nothing I would say is worth a great deal of money. I mean, my Vectrex cab, my main cab, obviously, that's a big thing. It's, I don't know, it's probably worth what? It's maybe worth about £600–700, you know, when you factor in it was home built and that kind of stuff. My Vectrex is worth about maybe £100. Probably the most expensive thing that I've got is my Virtual Boy. It's worth maybe about 120 quid. Yeah, I don't have any, I'm not a collector, I don't buy things, I buy things to play. So I'm certainly not going to go and buy a game at £200. I don't have the money, and I certainly wouldn't pay. I'd rather buy something, I'd rather buy a cheapo version or put it on an SD card. So I don't have anything of any great value, I'm afraid, Simon. So I'll probably say I'll go for my Vectrex. That's probably my most expensive thing that I've got. And another from the missus. If you had to have a video character as your familiar sidekick to guide your life, like Navi from Zelda. Now I think that's probably the character that I couldn't abide because it's so annoying. I think she means, which one would it be? If you had to have a video game character as your familiar sidekick, I mean, I can't think of many games that I've got a familiar sidekick. I think I would go for Agent Albatross out of Rolling Thunder, because he's just so bloody damn cool. He's got an awesome dress sense, he wears platform boots, he's got a polo neck, and he shoots bad guys. What more could I say? Yep, he would be the ideal guy. Either that or Q-Bert, because he certainly knows he's got a bit of a filthy mouth like myself, so he wouldn't be afraid in telling people what he thinks of them. Anyway guys, that is it. Thank you for the questions, guys. Very, very lastly, quick pick-up video. I mean to show you this at the start. Got this for £15. It's Namco, one of these things. It's got, yeah, it plugs into the TV through these two things. Switch it on, there you go, it comes on. This one has got Galaxian, Pac-Man, Bisconian, and something else which I can't remember what it is. So I've got that, yep, quite like that. It's very, very heavy. I think it looks quite smart as well. I like the side art as well, it's quite smart. Yep. Anyway guys, listen, that is it. It's quite a short waffle. Yeah, coming up, I've got multiple blimey, it's only, hopefully get Dominic Diamond next week, hopefully get Tony Temple on this Sunday. But yeah, loads going on, guys. Thank you for your continual support. Hope you enjoyed watching all the videos. Thanks for all the comments, etc. You know, I wouldn't do this without you guys, your guys' support. So anyway guys, have a fantastic weekend, and thank you very, very, very much for watching.